Lesson 19 of the C2 level. Today we're talking about expressing attitude. So let's have a look at what we're going to look at today. So first of all, we are going to look at types of attitude. So if we're talking about expressing an attitude, we need to talk about the types of attitude that can actually be expressed. Then we look at conveying attitude in speech, conveying attitude in writing, and expressions that convey an attitude in themselves. So we'll look at one expression and then some idiomatic expressions that convey attitude. Okay, so quite an exciting lesson, really, I hope for you. So first of all, I'm going to put a slide up that shows different types of attitudes. It's not all the possible attitudes because the list would be very long, but it gives you some examples. So let's have a look here. So if you look at the green box here, you can see where it says the types of attitudes that you can convey. For example, accusatory. So you are actually accusing somebody of doing something. Apathetic. So, in awe or solemn wonder, callous, unfeeling, derisive, mocking, ridiculing, the type of things that can happen when you're being psychologically bullied, for example. Contemplative, so just thinking, contemplating. Earnest. Haughty. Now, haughty, that's a good word. It's like, even when I say the word haughty, I kind of change my body language. It's like that kind of attitude. Malicious. Patronising. Yeah, haughty and patronising are both kind of they have this kind of condescending type of meaning. Sarcastic and sincere. So some of them are very similar, some are very different. Here on the screen, you've got also You Let the Cat Out. So what I'm going to try and do is show you different ways of conveying attitude with the same words, but I will change the tone that I use, I will change the pauses that I use, I will change the expressions on my face, maybe my body language. So things like non-verbal communication will change, so the cues will change. So the first one, so if, for example, I won't be able to do all of them, but let's have a go. So you let the cat out. So we could try and say that in an accusatory way. So you let the cat out. So if you can see, I'm kind of la. So apart from, my body language pointing, I sort of narrowed my eyes, and the volume was quite high as well. This one, apathetic. You let the cat out. So again, I kind of slow my pace down. My body kind of slumped. Yeah, so I slumped my shoulders. Good word, that, slumped. S-L-U-M-P-E-D. Slumped my shoulders. Now, obviously, with attitude, there are things like cultural considerations, contextual considerations to take into account. So maybe the way that you do it in your culture or your language might be slightly different. So, for example, in the English language, we have quite a big range. So when I'm speaking to you, my voice will change in range. So if you look at what I've just said, la 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 la. So the amount my voice will go up and down is much wider in range than a language like Russian, for example, which has a smaller range, and Spanish, which has a smaller range as well. Now, my very amateur, not based on any evidence at all, but my very amateur opinion about this is that because the British, we don't use our hands a lot when we speak, I feel like we do a lot of theatre through our voice. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? My children always say that I always say, what? Like with a massive surprise going, look. So sometimes, we do actually convey attitude by varying our voices. And obviously, this is something that you cannot learn in a formulaic, systematic way, because also different accents will have different ways of conveying attitude, slightly different intonation patterns. So it's better just to become aware of how the voice, pausing, eye contact, gestures, posture, how all those things are used to help convey attitude when you're speaking. All right, so let's do another example with this same sentence. Let's try number 3, or. Okay, when you're like, you let the cat out. La 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 la. It's like, you're amazing. I'm like opening up my face to you. I'm even looking upwards because I think you're so amazing. Okay. Let's try number 8. Okay. Haughty. Let me see. You let the cat out. So I think this is kind of, I'm sort of taking on a type of superiority when I'm talking here. Number 11, sarcastic. You let the cat out? Well done. Well done. Don't work too hard. I'll just be here cooking the dinner. Hope you didn't hurt yourself when you opened the door. I'm quite good at being sarcastic. I used to have a teacher when I was at school who used to say, sarcasm is the lowest form of wit. Meaning that you didn't have to be clever to be sarcastic, but you do have to be clever to be witty. Then let's have a look. Earnest. Oh, I don't know. Earnest, intense. Let's try. Okay. You let the cat out. That sounds a bit accusatory, no? Let's try again. About you let the cat out. I don't know. I'm not convinced about that one. But anyway, it's a good idea to start thinking about the type of attitudes that exist. Perhaps when you're watching one of your favourite series or a film that you really like, look at how the character in one part of their speech, look at how they do convey attitude. And it's good to realise that as human beings, we are programmed to pick up on this kind of non-verbal communication. And it's a good way of kind of exercising our awareness by really listening to how people display attitude. Okay, so we're going to move on now to can you convey attitude in writing? So I have just a few samples of writing here. I will just, here I've disappeared, so here you go. I'll read it out to you. It's from A Patchwork Planet, which is a novel by Anne Tyler. Anne Tyler has written numerous novels. Most of them are set in Baltimore in the United States. Very nice writer, very easy to read. Very character-based, I wouldn't say. If you like plot-based novels, not a lot happens in her novels sometimes. This one, for example, A Patchwork Planet, not very much happens, so it's more like reading about the characters and understanding the characters. And I chose this little excerpt because I liked the way the character's attitude was displayed here. So then, just beyond him, out the window, I chanced to notice the passport man talking on the phone. Talking on the phone? Down here beside the tracks? Sure enough, one of those little cell phones you all the time see obnoxious businessmen showing off in public. Now notice here, you can kind of feel that this person doesn't like the person that's talking on the phone. The fact that they say those little cell phones, obnoxious businessmen, showing off, they're all kind of negative. And also, I like the way that this character talks about the passport man. It's kind of like, it's almost like brushing the person off. So I really like the way that the attitude is. You can tell, the author doesn't need to say that this character didn't like that person. It's just shown in the way that this sentence is written. Okay, let's look at another example now. This one is from the poem Butcher by Hugo Williams. I'll read it to you. It's just one verse. It's a very short poem of approximately 4 or 5 verses. So it says, the butcher carves veal for 2. The cloudy, frail slices fall over his knife. His face is hurt by the parting sinews, and he looks up with relief, laying it on the scales. Now, I like here, you can, in fact, if you read later on in this poem, it's actually a reflection of the breakdown in the author's marriage. Well, I don't know about the author, but the person who, is kind of the person visiting the butcher is suffering from a marriage breakdown. So I really like, it's like the butcher carves the veal for 2. And instead of, you could talk about the slices of veal, which is a type of meat, they could be luscious and oozing. And but instead, he talks about cloudy, frail slices. They fall over the knife. It's almost like you can feel the apathy and the kind of how the meat is almost like a victim. The parting sinews, so implying that something's being ripped apart. So here you're getting the idea of the attitude of the person watching this meet and how it reflects on the problems that this person's having in their relationship. So it's really nice, the nice choices of vocabulary that you can find in literature, poems, but also in lots of other texts, even, well, especially maybe journalists choose their words very carefully to make us think one way or another. That's a big debate there, so I won't go into it too much. So now we're going to look at some expressions that convey attitude. Now, if you don't know this one, I love this one. It's 3 words. 3 words. 3 words, but it says so much. So, for example, your friend comes in and says, my parents need somewhere to stay tonight. They're in town. Can I tell them that they can stay here? And you say, if you must, which basically says, okay, do it, but I am not happy about it at all. And I am not going to let you forget it. I might even bear a grudge about this. Bear a grudge. That's a very good expression as well. So if you bear a grudge, then you don't forget it. So if someone says to you, if you must, my advice is, if you want to stay on their good side, I would actually find an alternative plan. It's like that. Those 3 words really, really loaded with lots of meaning. Okay, so what we're going to do now is look at some idiomatic expressions that also convey attitude. You might have heard of some of them before, but it's always good to have a review or a reminder so that you can start using them, because understanding them and using them are not always the same thing. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the expressions I have here. I love this one. If my mum said this to me, I would be really worried. It's like, I have a bone to pick with you. This means basically that you've done something wrong, and they're going to say, hey, I have a problem with you, and I'm going to tell you what it is now. So you can go and go, ooh. Well, she looked like the cat who got the cream. Now, somebody who looks like the cat has got the cream is there very smug, going, well, I am very, very, very pleased with myself. Well done me. Right, I'm on a short fuse. Now, a fuse is something that is used in electricity, so that if there's an electricity surge, the fuse will blow and the electricity will cut. It's actually as a safety measure. So that's where it comes from. But if you're on a short fuse, or you're going to blow a fuse, it means that you are very short-tempered. So you haven't got very much patience. So if somebody's on a short fuse, you want to either steer clear of them or try and do things to make them happy. I like this one. I probably say this every day. I can't for the life of me remember where I put my glasses. So here, you could say, I can't remember where I put my glasses. If you're feeling really frustrated and you want to convey an attitude of frustration, you can say, I can't for the life of me. I can't for the life of me understand why she is marrying him. Or I can't for the life of me remember who that guy is. Or I can't for the life of me think, why on earth did I come to this country? So it's kind of emphasizes and expresses frustration. Oh, pull yourself together. Now, if someone says to pull yourself together, it's always, it's normally directed at you. So you pull yourself together means that I don't give you credit for why you're feeling so upset or worried. So if somebody's like crying, and I say, pull yourself together, I'm saying, I'm sorry, but I don't value why you are so upset. So just compose yourself. And this one is another one that expresses sort of disbelief, expresses frustration as well. So I like this one too, because you could say he won't be here on time. Or you could say, fat chance he'll get here on time, which means you really believe there is no chance that he will arrive on time. You can just also say it as, oh, well, you might get a good job. Yeah, fat chance. So you can also use it as a short expression. And this one, I'm beside myself with worry. Again, it emphasizes. So it's normally, I'm beside myself with worry. So it is actually, I'm beside myself, is always referring to an attitude of anxiety or an emotional state of anxiety. Right, okay, so that was quite a lot of information. Probably you are familiar with some of the idiomatic expressions we had. So what we are going to do now, so you will need a pen and some paper, or you can write on your computer, of course. But what I'd like you to do now is you're going to have a quick test. So I will put it on the screen for you. You can pause it and do it, and then I will show you the answers. Okay. So notice there are 13 words and 10 gaps, so you do not need to use all the words. Right. Okay, I'm going to show you the answers now. So if you're not ready, pause again. Okay. Sorry, here are the answers. I'll get there in a minute. Okay, here are the answers. So today isn't the best day to ask Dad for a loan. He's really stressed out with work and he's on a short fuse. Maria has changed so much since last year. She looks really frail, so weak. I'm not sure how much longer she will be able to live on her own. I was never physically bullied at school, but I definitely suffered psychological bullying from some of the girls. I still remember the mocking tone that they used to use when they said, "Hi, I like your hair." Of course, they meant exactly the opposite of that. It was awful. I have a bone to pick with Jane. I'm sure she's been in my room and taken some of my clothes again. Number 5. Oh, for goodness sake, pull yourself together. You were only going out with him for 2 weeks. You can't be that heartbroken. Number 6. Unauthorized access to a computer or network of computers is usually done with malicious intent to copy, modify, or destroy data. Now, just a note, this term malicious intent is actually a legal term as well. Number 7, when my 16-year-old daughter didn't come home one night, I was absolutely beside myself with worry. I didn't sleep a wink. That's a nice expression as well. I didn't sleep a wink means you didn't sleep all night. Number 8, fat chance Ben will be on time. He's always late. Number 9, one of the characters in the series appears to be haughty and superior to the rest of the girls. But as the series develops, you learn that her attitude is simply masking her insecurity, and she is in fact jealous of the protagonist. Number 10. I always used to be totally in awe of my older cousin. He seemed so wise and knowledgeable, and the coolest thing about him was that he could play the guitar. I definitely had him on a pedestal. Okay, don't know, I'm not going anywhere yet, don't worry. Let's just go, sorry. Okay, so basically, those were some really nice expressions, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk you through some different resources that you can use to look at when perhaps they're very good for trying to expand the range of accents that you listen to, the range of the context that you listen to, and all the different types of attitudes that people can convey, both in spoken English, or you can also read some and listen to some really, really good texts as well. So let's have a look at some of the sources. So here I have just put a little selection. These are available on Netflix, and with an E. It's based on the novel Anne of Green Gables, so it's set in the past, and it's got some really nice. She does make a few. She says things like romantical, which actually doesn't exist. I have to keep telling my kids that when we're watching it. Romantical doesn't exist, but she says that a lot. But it's some really nice vocabulary, really good characterization as well, and something different to watch. The Crown. Now, I watched The Crown with my mum because I thought it would be something that she would like. But actually, I was totally hooked. It was really good, and I was quite surprised. And it's historically interesting as well. Sherlock, I mean, I like any kind of detective thing. Sherlock's a little bit quirky, a little bit different, so that one's quite good as well. And then Lock and Key, that is actually a series, I believe it's for teenagers, but I quite like it because it has an air of mystery to it, so you can give that one a go. And then underneath, I've got Outlook. Wanted to see, yes. Now, Outlook on the BBC World Service. Now, I'm picking up my phone for a reason, because I'm going to show you something. You can, this is the, I don't know if you can see here, this is my phone. You can download, let me see. You can download, you see here, this pink one here. It's called BBC iPlayer Radio. Now, you can download this even if you're outside the UK. It's available for Android and iPhone, and it's a fantastic app. I mean, it changed my life. I mean, I love it because you can listen to digital radio. You can choose the programs you want to listen to. It's such a fantastic resource. So you have to make sure you download BBC iPlayer Radio, not TV, because the TV one will only let you do it if you're within the UK. So when you open it, you get BBC iPlayer Radio. Okay, and then you can choose. So, for example, there, if you go to the BBC World Service, so you have the different stations here, but if you go to BBC World Service, they have this wonderful program called Outlook. Now, I love Outlook. It's basically interviews with people from all over the world. So quite a lot of the time they do use interpreters. And it's like extraordinary stories that have happened to ordinary people. So a great resource for listening to all types of stories, and they have a very big archive. So go there, do some listening, because it's, obviously perfectly spoken are fantastic, but we can't do everything. So use that as a great resource. All right, well, that's it from me for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you in my final lesson with you. Next class, we are going to do a review of lessons 16, 17, 18, and 19. So I'll see you soon. Take care.